Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name. Welcome to, well, not the first Persona 5 Phantom X video I've did, but the first of what's going to be hopefully a very long string of them. Persona 5 the Phantom X drops in, well, I'm releasing this on the 23rd, and I think it comes out on the 26th, so just a couple days. We are going to talk about what you should be re-rolling for, and should you re-roll in this game at all. The answer is, I think re-rolling in this game is actually going to be really nice to do for a couple reasons, which we'll get into. So very first thing I want to talk about is the actual, what you should be looking for when you're looking at the units. So when we come to 5 stars, there is only going to be 6 launch 5-star characters that you can get from pulls. That is, in my opinion, that's very low. I believe Etheria Restart had like 23, right? So, and I think sort of Convallaria had like in the 20s as well. Or, you know, 17, 20, something like this. This has literally 6. So very little. So with this is very good for free-to-play players, because this will make it very easy for you to acquire your favorite characters. But keep in mind, this is unlike Etheria Restart in the sense that duplicates on units is very powerful in this game, and there are weapon banners as well. So even though there's a low amount of units for you to target, because you're going to want to get duplicates, you know, you pull multiple copies of them on some characters, and you're also going to want their weapons in a lot of cases. That doesn't mean that this game is going to be inherently free-to-play friendly, anything like that. But I do want to say, if you're more of a collector and you care more of having a horizontal collection versus a vertical collection. So what do I mean when I say that? A vertical collection is you have maxed out units, right? You have 4 units, they're all maxed out, and this is what carries your content. Versus a horizontal collection is maybe you have one of every unit, none of them are fully built and maxed out, but I think if you want to be a horizontal collector, that'll be relatively free-to-play friendly. If you want to be a vertical collector, I do not think that this is going to be a game that you're going to be able to do it easily. So, first thing I want to do when you're looking at this tier list, right? This seems a little self-explanatory, but I want to keep a couple things in mind. One, these units, and it even says so up here, this is not necessarily taking into account their synergistic power. This is mostly standalone. Also, this is assuming you have no duplicates on any of them. Some of these units, as you get more duplicates, might actually pull ahead in what they're doing here. So keep in mind, this is not the Bible of a tier list, right? And they even acknowledge it. So this isn't going to have maximum synergy, you know, accounted for, and it's not assuming you have duplicates. So if some characters have really powerful, I think it's called awakenings, then that is not being considered. Also, what I'm going to look for is not just something like someone like this, where they are currently tier 0 for general content and tier 0.5 for boss combat. But look at where they are currently in the CN tier list. They're dropped down to tier 4. So although this may be one of the strongest characters you can get on launch, this is probably not a character you really are super hyper focused on getting, because they are going to fall off. And if you're going to put a lot of investment into a character, you're going to want them to really basically give you a long amount of power. So someone that I think you should consider re-rolling for here is Ann Takanami. Ann Takamaki. She is not maybe literally the single best launch character, although she might be the best fire launch character, but she holds, even now, a high tier. So this is implying to me that she is probably more of a support. I don't have perfect knowledge of this game. I haven't played it myself yet. But one thing I want you to consider is how long they're going to be good. So someone like Joker is probably going to be most people's number 1 reroll target. Why? One, he's the first limited time unit. He's literally the protagonist of P5, so a lot of people like him. He's the strongest launch character, and so he's just a fan favorite, right? So he may get power crept in the future over the next 6 months to a year, but he is going to be so powerful at the launch of the game that I don't think it's going to matter. So this is a character you should probably consider re-rolling for, but I really think Anne here is probably going to be the number 1 target that you really should try to get. If you go for a second target, Anne here is really good. She holds up incredibly well over a long period of time. So these would be the 2 I would go for. A lot of characters are still going to be good, and you see they're going to kind of fall off, and this is fine. And actually, Ryuji here is apparently badass at killing bosses later in the game, so Ryuji is good as well. But keep in mind how powerful duplicates are. So when you're re-rolling, if you're the kind of player that wants to get one of every unit, obviously just re-roll till you get like 3 legends, and then before you start really spending a bunch of of your currency. But if you're kind of like me and you want to focus more about min-maxing the late game, you're probably going to want to go for actual dupes on these characters before you start worrying about getting 1 copy of every character. So if you just look at Anne here, you could take a look at the awakenings here. So everyone starts at A0, but even at A1, once you get 1 duplicate, she's passively going to increase all allies attack by 17% for a turn when she enters her concentration, which is like her main thing here, right? And then obviously the A2 and A4s I think are probably good, but they're not like insanely broken. They're just powered up versions of skills. But like if you go for either 1 dupe or you go for your 3rd dupe, and then 5th and 6th are probably going to be big as well. So I will go more into this once I actually understand the game better, but you are going to want to consider actually going in for the dupes as opposed to getting as many characters as possible. So yeah, I honestly don't have that much more to say. There's just not that many characters. I would say when you're going into this game and you're focused on re-rolling, focus on getting 1 to 2 copies of Joker and 1 to 2 copies of Anne. That is my current goal. However, if you're going to be spending money like I am going to go for at least 1 copy of everyone. But Joker, I believe, is the only limited character at launch, so you really, really want to make sure that you get him before he leaves. So this is the #1 target, and I believe the other 5 aren't going to be in the general banner. But getting the general banner unit can be frequently harder than getting the first limited unit. Like in Sword of Convalaria, getting Guzman, you had like a 1 in like 20 chance once you actually got a legendary for it to be Guzman if that's who you wanted. So getting her is also huge. So if you're re-rolling min-maxing, I would not stop re-rolling until I get 1 copy of both of these units, hopefully a 2nd copy of at least 1 of them. But guys, that is all. I'm going to do a lot more videos. This is just a really crash course, basic, how you get in there. There's not that many units to consider, and so these characters are both insanely good at all content in the game, and they hold very powerful amounts of, they hold up for a long amount of time, which is what you're looking for. Now I'm just rambling. Guys, that's all. Much love for Platypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!